We're going to look at repatriation, the Japa syndrome, and we're going to let you in on the recent development regarding it. Welcome on board. My name is Anwoluwapo Stevens. So it was in the news recently that a record of 44 Nigerian Ghanaians were deported from the UK on a single flight on Friday, marking a major increase in immigration enforcement. Now, the office confirmed the deportation as part of a larger surge in immigration returns, with more than 3,600 individuals deported since the Labour government took power in July. Well, these efforts have included flights to Brazil, Vietnam, Romania, and the likes. Now, this deportation coincides with the news regarding the UK's handling of asylum seekers on Diego Gracia, a remote island in the Indian Ocean. Now, it's no longer news that the issue of the Japa syndrome is a trending issue, trending conversation, and it's really now like an emerging pandemic that needs to be discussed. So, this morning, the Japa syndrome is on the front burner. Repatriation of Nigerians, the search of greener pasture is what we are looking at today. And joining me right here in the studio to do justice to this conversation is Comrade Osita Osemene. He is the Executive Director, Patriotic Citizens Initiative. A pleasure having you on board. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. And you?
Very well, thank you. So, what do you make of this recent development from the UK? What was the first thing that came to your head when you heard about it?
Well, for me, having been in this field for a very long time, it wasn't a surprise to me. I've actually been expecting it because it has been on the news for some time now, for the past 3-4 years, the preparation to start repatriating, especially people from the African country. If you are aware, last year you heard about the Rwanda preparation when they were talking about repatriating Africans to Rwanda, and I think that didn't work out. But now they have taken a direct decision by returning them back to their country. So the situation wasn't a surprise to me. It's a reality, and that is what it is. Yeah.
Now, how did we get here? Because a recent survey from the Nigeria Social Cohesion Survey revealed that 7 out of 10 Nigerians are willing to relocate to other countries for various reasons. Why is the question. What is the major cause of the Japa syndrome we're seeing now in
Yes.
Africa?
Yes, the issue of Japa syndrome, especially in this present situation, is actually being influenced by the current situation in Nigeria. Looking at the economic situation now, the reality on ground is enough to tell you that a lot of people are facing difficult times. The hardship, and people are not able to meet up with the standard of living now in the country. So, and that is also part of what is fueling the quest for living at that desperate, with that desperate mindset, and feeling that it is going to be better outside there. And if you can see, not just the repatriation from UK, you can see that there are a lot of repatriation going on, even quietly, that even some of us are not aware. Even the ones we are aware, those ones that also want to go through the Sahara Desert to Europe, a lot were returned by last week. We have some people that have been returned from Europe, like from Denmark, from Germany, from Netherlands, which is ongoing, but this became a very big news because of the way it actually happened. And we're going to see a lot happening in the nearest few months. A lot of returns are going to happen, even from Canada, So, and a lot of people are also preparing, like you said, the quest is high. And the reason is, for me, is clear. And people don't want to know again, even while you are telling them that things are not the way it is, the way they see it. But they said they prefer to go there. I have a lot of people who have returned back for the past few months, and they said they were, I was just sharing this morning, someone who were handling his pre-departure counseling. And I was trying to tell him that it is better for him, to come back and settle before planning again to move. He said no, that he doesn't want to stay in Nigeria. He's still there, planning to return back voluntarily back to Nigeria because he was rejected asylum. But I told him, I said, no, the best thing for you is to come back and settle because you have wasted some time there. You were not given your documents. Now you want to come back to your country, settle down, replan, and you can go back to wherever you want to go to. He said no, that he's not comfortable, that Nigeria is tough. I said, but we're in Nigeria, we are still alive. The truth is, they need to see it from the realistic point of view that they have to face the situation the way it is. We are not the cause of the whole hardship, but people are surviving. And if you really want to travel, like I always tell them, I am not an agent of not traveling abroad. I would tell you, traveling abroad is good. Going to abroad is good to have experience and all this, but not going without being properly invited or without being properly documented. When you go with a tourist visa and you have the mind to stay abroad and work, you are likely to be an irregular migrant and you are likely to be repatriated. When you go with a visiting visa and you have a mind of staying there to work without staying there as a visitor, you are going to be repatriated and you will be frustrated when you are repatriated like that.
So
That's it.
from what I deduce from what you said is the issue of perception.
Yes.
The grass, is the grass really greener at the other? Tend to hear a lot of persons say, because there's this perception of, oh, once you leave the country, once you travel abroad, you're going to hit it, you're going to make it big. And then you see some Nigerians who travel down there, and the next thing they're bringing out your phone, having beautiful pictures on your road. Right. And we back here, we just seem to be like, all of the things is working pretty fine for a lot of Nigerians there.
Well, that is the way they make it look like. They make it look as if the grass is greener there. I was explaining to one of my staffs in the office yesterday, and I was telling them that the salary you're receiving here and the freedom you have in Nigeria, you cannot value it with what you will experience when you travel. Most times, the kind of huge money you hear they earn, maybe $10,000, $5,000, you'll be surprised. $9,000 is being used for bills, and taxes and all these things. And when you look at what is remaining there, I'm not trying to condemn the life over there. Things are actually okay. It's a developed country. We are a developing country. You have a lot of social amenities, but you can only have access to it when you are properly documented. You can't just wake up from here and say you are going to Europe because you heard that they are earning a lot of dollars, a lot of euro, and you think you have access to it, and you feel that the opportunities are not there in Nigeria. For me, like I told them, I said, the little you are earning, why not build yourself, build your capacity so that you can increase your earning in Nigeria? And if you want to go to Europe, you can go there for holidays. Then, if you also want to relocate, get the required skills here so that you'll be able to acquire what they have there. When you have the required skill here, you can be invited, you can be employed. Some people get employed from Nigeria and they relocate their families. They go to Europe, they go to Canada, they go to UK. You don't have all these requirements. You don't have all these these skills, and you want to pick your bag, and you're going to get there. You think they will welcome you, and you will start having the privileges that people who have that. It's not possible. So the idea of grass being greener abroad, for me, well, the grass is green, but it's not as if it's more greener, because I was just telling someone when I traveled to Amsterdam last year, I was telling them, I said, look, was it Amsterdam? No, Italy. I was telling them in Italy, I said, if you give me a visa, 50 years visa, I won't stay here. They said, why? I said, well, when I was younger, I had this desperation, this mindset that I'm coming to make it in Europe. And I love Europe style. But when that mindset, when I was able to work on that mindset, and I decided to develop myself in my country, and I started working and earning in this country, I found out that I am more comfortable in my country. I am freer in Nigeria, and I can come to Europe and, stay anytime I want to stay, and I go back. The other day I was going to Madrid. I went to the embassy. They were asking me, how long are you going to stay in? I said, 1 week. They said, no, comrade, we're going to give you more than 1 month. You're going to stay. I said, no, I don't have time to stay in Europe. They were shocked because a lot of Nigerians are looking for visa to live, to go to that country. And they were shocked that, even a Nigerian can say that he doesn't want to stay in Europe. I said, no. I said, I'm enjoying my country. First of all, I miss a lot of things when I leave this country for 2 weeks. You know the kind of delicacies we have in this country. I can't stay here, I can't stay there, and there are a lot of things, there are a lot of funds. So, but I am not trying to discourage those people who are, because everybody, we have our choices. We have our decisions to make, but people should take the right decision.
While
Yeah.
some persons will still believe that it is much sweeter to pray for Nigeria when you're outside Nigeria. Social media is filled with a lot of persons having different thoughts, different orientation to this. But right now, I'd love you to take us through the process of repatriation, because oftentimes we see the income boss, Abike Dabi Arewa, come out to talk about some of these things, and she has been very, very vocal in situations like this. So how really does it work? From the aspect of the Nigerian government, are there any laid down things prepared for persons forcefully coming back to the country?
Yes, for Nigeria, presently the national migration policy is undergoing review. It came up alive 2015. That was when it was signed into as a policy by the government of Goodluck Jonathan. And after some time, looking at the emerging issues, is undergoing review, and is also trying to see how Nigerian government can respond, in terms of proactively to the issue of return. And when we're talking about return, we're looking at all type of returns. We have different type of, we have a voluntary return, we have forced return, we even have deportation.
We have been talking about the Japa syndrome, the repatriation of Nigerians, the search for greener pasture. I still have my guest seated with me in the studio, Comrade Osita Osemene. He is the Executive Director, Patriotic Citizens Initiative, right here in our Lagos studio. So the other time you were trying to analyze the difference between deportation, repatriations, and others.
And the voluntary return.
Right.
And also trying to respond to the issue of Nigerian preparation, especially from the government point of view. Like I said, there's a structure on ground, and there's an agency that has been mandated by the federal government to respond to all these issues that I'm talking about, which is the National Commission for Refugees, Migrant and Internally Displaced Persons. They have the mandate to coordinate all forms of return. And different levels of governance structure that are also put in place to respond to these issues of return, from the federal to the states. And these are the mechanisms put in place by the federal government to ensure that return is appropriately done, especially because, like, we from the civil society, we have argued that no matter the type of return should be, return should be, people should not see return as a criminal. It should not be criminalized. It should be seen as a human, from the human point of view. Everybody has right to migrate. There is that is wrong. Whether it is deportation, whether it is because of one form of issues to the sovereignty of every country. Most times issue of repatriation is as a result of migrants that are not properly. You have violated, the rules of these countries. That is why you are being repatriated. It is not, in most cases, people think that when people return, they have committed one big crime. No. Since I started this work, I have noticed that it's just a little percentage of people who commit one or two crimes. Others are document-related cases. And Nigerian government and the systems have been put in place to ensure that this is addressed and people are properly taken care of. Before, when people return, they are not profiled in Nigeria, but now, I can assure you that if you want the database or the details of people who have returned from UK, you will get it now because of the structures that have been put in place. And I give it to the government, because it's not every time we say government is not doing this. These things have been put in place in terms of coordination and ensuring that things are properly done. So I want to say that, if I may answer to that question you just asked, Nigeria is prepared. But the other side, where I see that is still a work in progress, is to ensure that these people who have returned back will be properly reintegrated into the society. Because for somebody who have been out for years, and expecting that I'll be giving documents, all of a sudden, one day the government of the country will come and maybe arrest you, and bring you back to your country unprepared. it will be difficult for the person to find into the system. So our system also need to improve on those on the what they already have on ground to ensure that when people return, they can easily access opportunities in Nigeria, and begin to live a normal life, because it's a challenge, and that is why people are scared, but repatriation must happen, because if a country says, I am not going to give you document, you are going to come back. That is just the truth.
Now let's move our attention over to the issue of brain drain that we've seen happen over time in the country since the kickstart of the Japa syndrome. Just recently, we saw the Senate presidents clamoring and crying out to Nigerians saying, remove the love for the money, love your country, come back home, let's try and make things better. How has this impacted the national economy?
Yes, it has done a lot of, let me say, more harm than good, because, and I wouldn't blame those people who are actually living, because you cannot just tell people that they should, for the love of the country and live the love of money. Everybody wants a good life. People want their children to go to good schools. People want their children to have access to good health, good facilities. These things are not accessible in Nigeria. So if the government actually want people to stay back in terms of not seeking for that greener pastures that we have just mentioned outside, they should make these things available. Create an enabling environment. The transport systems are working well. Roads are good. The security system is active, and social amenities are accessible. Social securities are there. These people actually are looking for these things, and they are not in Nigeria. And you can't tell them not to go. So these are the things that we only encourage them to stay back. Some of us who have made up our mind to stay back, it doesn't mean that we don't like all these things. We love them. Just that there is no place like home. As far as I'm concerned, home is still the best. But the people, medical personnel, at times the teachers, the nurses, they want to have a better opportunity, a better package, a better family environment for their people. And that is why they plan to leave. And those countries are ready to welcome them. So if Nigeria, the system must keep our people back here, they should ensure that they focus on these social amenities and ensure that the health system is functioning well, our transport system is functioning well. It's not all about, the salary, the big money. No, I don't even believe that people who travel are earning better than people who are in Nigeria. But these things are accessible for them. Yeah.
So as we tend to leave the conversation here, really, I would love you to have a bit of final thoughts to Nigerians, especially those ones that are still planning and intending on moving out of the country, because it seems to me that traveling abroad right now is a great testimony. And then when you say, hey, my child is out, you see people shouting and rejoicing. What would you say to them?
Yes, I want to tell all the viewers and Nigerians that let's see how we can make Nigeria work. Nigeria is a collective, for me, making Nigeria work has to be a collective responsibility. By the time you leave this country, who is going to remain and make this country great? Who is going to change the narrative? Who are the people that will actually even help to encourage the system, or even put kind of more blame on the government to see how government can wake up to their responsibility and create an enabling environment. So please, I am not discouraging people from going to abroad, please, so that they don't misquote me, but let's see how Nigeria can work, and let's make Nigeria a better place and attract people rather than leaving this country. Nigeria is a very sweet place. It's very free, nobody, you are not, in as much as people say that people are being oppressed and I tell people Nigeria is as free. If you travel outside this country and see what people are going through, you will know that Nigeria is a great country.
Okay, yeah. Yes, indeed, Nigeria is indeed a great country, and you and I need to stay back to make the country really a better place. Comrade Osita Osemene, Executive Director, Patriotic Citizens Initiative, thank you for coming on board this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Right, so that's our bit this morning right here in Lagos. Remember that there is no place like home.